What's going on, everybody on YouTube? Steve here, Raiken Profit, coming back to you guys with another video. And in this video, I wanted to talk about competition. I want to talk about what I'm seeing when I'm out there in the field at garage sales, thrift stores, pawn shops, and I want to talk about my take on the competition. Also, I want you guys to leave a comment below right now, or at least in a few minutes after you watch this video. Leave a comment below and let me know, are you seeing an increased amount of competition when you're out there at garage sales, thrift stores, and whatnot? And let's chit chat about this. Let's have a little discussion about kind of why this is happening. So first of all, when I started reselling a couple years back, probably 3 years ago, when I went to a thrift store, I would rarely see competition. Now, maybe it was a little more challenging to know who the competition was because smartphones are becoming so popular now. Everybody has a smartphone, and you can typically tell who a reseller is because they're usually on eBay or Amazon looking things up, or they're out there actually scanning with their scan fob or scanning with their actual phone. But I'll tell you right now, when I started 2 or 3 years ago, and I bet the veterans out here have some stories who've been doing this for like 10 or 15 years, but when I started, I would never, ever, ever see anybody scanning books. And I'd rarely see people looking up items. I don't know what it is, but over the last couple of years, there's definitely a lot more competition coming into the market. And I think the reason for that is just it's a low barrier to entry, especially with like books and retail arbitrage and with Amazon, with the fulfillment centers. It's really not that hard to get started, and there's definitely a lot more people coming into the market. Now, I do want to say I live in Connecticut, so it's a pretty populated area where I am, but I'm definitely noticing a lot more competition on the lower barrier types of items. Definitely with books. I see a ton of book scanners out there now. It's almost rare for me to go to a thrift store now and not see somebody scanning books. I'd like to know, again, for the people who are watching right now, I want to know where you live, and I want to know, do you see a ton of competition? Do you see a lot of them at garage sales, at thrift stores, at pawn shops? One thing I want to say is I've always seen a ton of competition at garage sales since I've started. There's always been a ton of resellers. You could always tell who they are. They're looking things up. They're negotiating. Nothing's changed there. I don't see like an increased amount of people garage selling, but again, I live in Connecticut, so the season's short for that. But thrift stores, I've definitely seen the competition grow a lot. And one thing I want to say is, you want to stay ahead of the game, right? You want to stay ahead of the curve. You don't want to continue doing exactly what you've been doing the last day. I mean, it's great to continue your business model, but you always want to innovate. You want to improve. You want to try to take the next step forward to get ahead of your competition. I've definitely noticed it with books. The FBA market for books is just getting it's just becoming overwhelming. I remember a few years back, I would find a book and there might be one person FBA or 2 or 3. But now Amazon released, I think they have over 2 million FBA sellers. It's really uncommon to see less than like 10 to 20 or 30 people on a listing. Again, it's going to depend on the item or the book. We're really talking about books right now, but the market's becoming very saturated. And I do want to warn you folks out there who are only doing books that it's going to get more competitive. There's already a ton of people coming in. I see it at my thrift stores all the time. They're going to continue to drive the prices down, which I've noticed. If you haven't noticed that, you got to get out from the rock that you're sleeping under because it's obvious. I see the prices getting lower and lower each and every day. So really the point of this video was to kind of raise awareness around what I see and to kind of warn you that if you're going to continue to do the same thing over and over again and stick to these business models that are very low barrier to entry, pretty much what I mean by that is anybody could do it. You could just pull out your phone and scan the item. That's going to get more challenging and the profits are going to get squeezed out slowly but surely. I'm seeing it. So make sure to stay ahead of the curve. If you have special ways to source more items or get it cheaper or working out deals with companies, that's how you're going to get your edge. But if you're going to continue to do the same thing over and over again, I truly believe you're going to get squeezed out of the market. So again, that's another reason why it's a really good idea to have your eggs in multiple baskets. You know, be selling books on Amazon FBA, have your retail arbitrage, have your private label, have your eBay, have your Craigslist, have your antique booth. I think that's a really smart way to go about things to minimize risk. But also you want to remember to stay ahead of the curve. Keep learning, keep pushing forward. Don't just stick to what's easy, right? Because it's obvious the competition is coming in. So I just want to make this video to kind of raise awareness and also ask you guys, what do you see? Do you see anything different? Do you notice competition coming in? Do you see the book scanners out there? Do you see increased competition at the thrift store, the garage sale, the pawn shop? I rarely ever see anybody at the pawn shop who's a reseller, but I want to know what your input is and give me your feedback on this video. This video is not to scare you. This video is not to push you out of the market. I think there's a ton of money to be made, probably more money than ever. But you've got to be smart about your business and choose the appropriate business model and continue to learn and stay ahead of the curve. I don't care who you are. I mean, take a look at Blockbuster, right? Blockbuster was like at the top of their game. They were making the most money. And what happened? They got squeezed out of the market because they were unwilling to change. They thought their business model would always be the business model and no one could ever come in and take their place. Well, guess what? I never see a Blockbuster anymore. Do you? For me, I can only give my own experience. I'll stick with, below 100,000, that's like amazing to me. If you get under like 50,000, under 20,000, I mean, bada bing, bada boom, the profits are coming soon. That is my saying right there, and that's trademarked. No, it's not, but it should be. That's like a really, really fast sale right there. If you could get under 50,000, under 20,000, that's amazing. Anything under, 50,000 to 100,000, that's really, really good as well. You start getting over 300,000, upwards like 700,000 or 800,000, it's decent. But again, don't discriminate.